Assalamu alaikum viewers, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to make a very beautiful princess frock for a 5-year girl, and I'm using this jamawar fabric. I don't know what it is called in different regions, but we normally say jamawar fabric for this frock. And this katan silk, it's pink color. In contrast to it, I'm using this katan silk, and it's a leftover piece I have which I'll be using in this dress. And apart from this, we use this light pink katan silk fabric for the ruffles, and this lace will be attached for its decoration. So let's get started. First of all, we'll cut and stitch the skirt. This fabric is 1.5 meters in length, and we are cutting the skirt first, and we'll attach this pink fabric with this skirt as well. So excluding the width of the pink fabric we use in our skirt, we'll cut half circle skirt of the jamawar fabric. So our waist is 22 inches in total, and we'll attach a 4-inch wide piece of the pink fabric in the center front. So excluding 4 inches from 22, we get 18. So we'll cut 18 inches for the waist of this fabric, right? So we'll cut a half circle skirt of this fabric with 18 inches weight, because we exclude 4 inches for the pink fabric, right? So now fold the fabric in length. I folded it, as you can see, and now move the fabric from one corner to the other side to make a triangle like this. This piece of fabric will be used for the bodice and sleeves, and this for the skirt. So we'll mark for the waist of the skirt first. We excluded 4 inches from the total waist, and the remaining waist is 18 inches, and the fabric is in 4 layers. So we'll find 1/4 of 18, and that is 4.5. So we'll place our measuring tape on the fabric like this, and check out where 4.5 inches lies. It lies here, so mark over there, and check the distance of this point from the corner. It is 5 inches. So we'll mark at 5 inches from that corner for the waist, right? So it is a bit round in shape. Now we'll mark for the full length of the skirt. The full length of the skirt we need is 26 inches, and we'll exclude 4 inches from the full length because we'll attach a 4-inch long frill at the bottom. So the remaining length is 22 inches, and adding 5 inches of the top to 22 inch, we get 27. So we'll mark at 27 inches from the corner. When we'll cut the top part, we'll get our 22 inches long skirt. So I'm marking at 27 inches from the corner here. We'll attach a joint at the bottom as well. As you can see, the fabric at the bottom is in 2 layers, it's not in 4 layers. So I marked at 27 inches like this from the corner. Now we'll cut at these 2 lines. So I've cut at these 2 lines, and this is the place where we'll attach the joint. So we'll place the fabric under this skirt like this, and mark exactly in the same shape with 1 inch overlapping at the top only. And now we'll cut at this point. So I've cut that piece, and we place it here and join it to the rest of the skirt. And now we'll cut the pink fabric to be attached to the skirt. So we need the pink fabric in the same shape as the skirt is in front of us right now. So I placed it on the single layer of pink fabric, and we'll cut it with 1 inch seam allowance at the sides. So we'll cut the pink fabric in the same shape. So I cut it with 1 inch seam allowance at the side, as you can see. Now we'll attach it to the skirt, but before that we'll fix the joint in place. So I attached the joint here and there and pressed it nicely so it is not that much visible from the right side. Now if we fold the fabric, our skirt is like this. So this will be our center back, because we need an opening for the zip at the center back, and this is the center front where we'll attach the pink part. So we need to cut at the center front as well. So we'll cut from here. As you can see, I cut it. Now we'll place the pink part right in the center front here and attach it in place with both the openings here. So I stitched at the center back and attached the pink fabric on the center front, as you can see here. This is the wrong side. When we turn the right side out, it looks like this. So this is our front part, and this is the back part. I stitched at the back as well and left a 4 to 5 inch opening at the top for the zip to go in. Now we'll attach a frill at the bottom, and we need 4 inches wide frill when ready. So keeping 1.5 inch seam allowance, we'll cut 5.5 inches wide strip of fabric. So I cut 5.5 inch wide strip of the fabric, and the longer the strip, the more will be the gathers. So I cut 3 or 4 strips of the fabric. Depending on the amount of fabric you have, you can cut the strips, and we'll join them together and hem the bottom. So I joined all the strips together, as you can see here, and hem the bottom as well. Now we'll attach it to the skirt. So I pinned the strip in place at intervals, so I know how much amount of fabric to be gathered at one point. So simply join the right sides together and stitch there in place, gathering the strip. So I gathered it. If you start gathering at one end of the skirt and you keep on gathering, you may run short of the fabric at the other end. So it's better to pin the strip first and then start stitching, right? And now we'll attach another strip on the bottom, and for this I took 3 inches wide strip of fabric because I need 2 inch wide strip when ready. 1 inch is for seam allowance. So we'll hem both the sides of the strip. As you can see here, I hemmed both the sides of this long strip. These are many strips joined together, right? And now we'll pleat the strip here on this joint and top stitch it at the center. So I pleated the strip and top stitched it at the center. As you can see here, the joint is also not visible. Then I pressed it very nicely, so it's looking like this. Now we'll get the lining for the skirt ready, and I took 2 pieces of lining fabric, and the length of the lining fabric is 23 inches. It is 4 inches less than the total length of the skirt. We'll hem the bottom, pleat the lining down to the waist measurement, and stitch at the sides, and we'll keep a 4 to 5 inch slit at the top at the center back, right? So this is our skirt and this is our lining. We stitched the sides and kept a 4 to 5 inch opening at the center back and pleated it down to the waist measurement, hemmed the bottom as well. Now we'll simply insert it in our skirt like this. Join at the waist, match the opening at the center back, and stitch at the waistline. So I stitch the lining at the waistline and finish this opening as well, and our skirt is ready. We'll attach the lace on this joint, but at the end we'll get the bodice ready first. So the waist of our skirt is 11 inches, and most importantly we must note the width of the pink fabric on the skirt because we need the same amount of pink fabric on the bodice as well, and it is 4.5 inches when ready. So we need 4.5 inches wide patch at the bodice as well. So we cut at 5.5 inches including 1 inch seam allowance, right? So these are the pieces of fabric for the bodice. This is the back bodice. It is 16 inches wide and 11 inches long. And the front part is in 3 pieces. The center part is important because it should be equal to the width of the pink part at the skirt. So I cut 5.5 inches wide strip of pink fabric because we need 4.5 when ready, and 1 inch is for seam allowance. The side pieces can be wider because we'll cut the extra fabric when we'll mark for the bodice measurement. It should be 4 inches less than the total width of the front bodice, by the way. So I cut 6 inches wide pieces for the sides. So both are 6 inches wide and 11 inches long. Now we'll join all these pieces together, and the bodice width is 15 inches when ready, and the center patch is 4.5 inches wide. And now we'll fold the back part and place the front part on it, and 1 inch extra fabric of the back part should be at the center back like this, where we'll attach the zip. Now we'll mark for the bodice measurements. We'll mark half of the shoulder first, and I'm marking at 5.5 inches. From this point we'll mark for the half of armhole round, and I marked at 6 inches. It should be 5.5 from here as well. Join these 2 points. At this point we'll mark for the chest measurement, and 1/4 of the chest is 6 inches in my case, so I'm marking at 6 inches, and 1/4 of the waist measurement then, and it is 5.5 inches, and at 1 inch we'll mark for cutting here. And now for the neckline, I'm marking at 3 inches for neck width and 3 inches for neck depth for now, and extend these two lines like this. We won't join them in a round shape, but we'll keep it rather square. Now we'll mark at 1 inch down this bottom line of the neck, because we'll attach a 1 inch wide pleated strip on the neckline here, and that will reduce the depth of the neck again. So this is for the front part, and for the back part we'll keep the width same, and the depth would be equal to 3 inches that we marked first. So join these 2 points in a round shape. And now we'll mark for the back armhole from the mark of cutting, and somewhat deeper for the front armhole like this. Now we'll cut at the back neckline and back armhole, separate the back part and cut for front armhole and front neckline. So I cut the front armhole and the front neckline. So the front neckline is at 4 inches right now. Now I cut the lining in the same pattern as well. We'll place the lining on the right side of the bodice and stitch at the neckline. And for the back part, we'll place the lining on the right side and stitch at the neckline, and we'll make 2 stitch lines at the center back as well. So I stitched at the neckline and give a few notches at the neckline as well. So turn the right side out, and for the back part, we'll cut at the center back after making 2 stitch lines at the center. And now give a few notches and turn the right side out and give a very nice press. So I pressed both the pieces of the bodice, and now match the right sides together and stitch at the shoulders. And for that, open the shoulders like this, match lining to lining and main bodice to main bodice and stitch here. So I stitched at the shoulder, giving the shoulder slope, and then open the seams and give a very nice press so the shoulders are done. Now armhole is not finished yet, so open the bodice like this, match the right sides of the bodice and the lining together, match the shoulder to shoulder, pin in place and stitch the armhole now. Do the same for the other side. So I stitched the armhole, and now we'll give a few notches and turn the right side out, pulling the back bodice from the front like this. So simply pull the back bodice out, and the shoulders are very nicely done, as you can see, from the wrong side as well as from the right side. Now give a very nice press to finish all the seams. So I pressed the bodice very nicely, and you can see how fine all the seams are looking. Now we'll attach the pleated strip on the neckline, and for that I took this strip of fabric, the light pink color, and it is 2 inches on fold. So it is 2 inches on fold, and we need just 1 inch wide strip. 1 inch would be for seam allowance. So on the wrong side, place the strip on the neckline. The raw edge is at the bottom and the folded edge will be visible from the neckline. So pleat the strip. The pleats should be equal in width. Pleat the strip at the center here and leave 1.5 inch wide extra fabric at the side. So I pleated the strip and pinned in place. So this is how it's looking from the right side. Check it out first and then stitch on machine. So I stitched it on machine as well. Now join the right side of the bodice together and stitch the side seams. And for that, open the bodice like this, match lining to lining and main bodice to main bodice and stitch there. So it's looking very nice from the inside and outside as well. Now stitch the lining and the main bodice at the bottom as well, so it is one piece and easy to handle. And now for the sleeves, I took 3 pieces of fabric. This is the lining fabric, and we'll cut it in the same shape as we do for the normal sleeves. So the width of the sleeve is 4 inches we want, and 1 inch is for seam allowance. And the length of the sleeve we want is 3.5 inches, and the fabric is 4.5, as you can see. 1 inch is for seam allowance. and I cut the armhole as we normally do for our sleeves, right? So this is the normal pattern of the sleeve, and for the main fabric of the sleeve, I took these two pieces of java fabric. It is wider, it is 20 inches wide and 5.5 inches long. It is 1 inch longer than the lining fabric. Fold it like this and place the lining on it on the open edge, and we'll cut it in the same shape, and the extra fabric would be at the folded side where it will be gathered, right? So we'll cut it here and at the armhole as well. Join it to the top like this. This extra fabric will be gathered, right? I marked at the front because the front armhole is deeper than the back armhole, right? So it is important to mark for the front part. We'll do the same for the main part of the sleeve as well. And then I took this strip of fabric. It's 22 inches long and 4 inches wide, as you can see. So we'll fold it and press it very nicely, and then we'll place it on the lining fabric at the bottom like this and pleat it down to the width of the lining fabric. The raw edge is at the bottom and the folded edge is upwards. Now we'll stitch here. So I stitched it in place and pressed, and then placed this main fabric of the sleeve and gather it down to the width of the lining. So I gathered it. So this is the stitch line. We'll fold the lining fabric to the wrong side, and this is how it looks. Now we'll press it very nicely, and the patch is nicely finished from outside as well as the inside. And now, as you can see, the main fabric of the sleeve is longer than the lining fabric. So we'll match it at the armhole like this. And this extra length will give the poofy look to the sleeve, right? And one thing you should keep in mind, that the center of the sleeve should match the center of the lining. It's very important because the sleeve is the longest at the center. So pin it here and pin the edge here. And on the other side as well, and we'll gather all the extra fabric. So gather all the extra fabric of this side and this side in place. So I've gathered all the fabric and stitched on machine, as you can see here, and we got another sleeve ready in the same way. But make sure that the front of the lining should be matching the front of the main sleeve as well. So I marked at the main sleeve and the lining both, and the center of the lining and the main fabric should be matching at the top and the bottom as well, right? So this is important. Now fold the sleeve like this and stitch the side seam. So this is the main bodice, and I stitched the sides of the sleeves as well. Turn the right side out. This is how it is looking, and it's looking very cute. I'm just loving it. Both the sleeves are ready. Now we'll attach the sleeves to the armhole, and for this, match the center of the sleeve to the shoulder. Pin it here in place. We'll simply place it under the armhole, right? And join the seam of the sleeve to the side seam of the bodice. Pin here and simply top stitch at the rest of the sleeve, the armhole. So we'll top stitch here. So I top stitched it, and I did the same for the other side. So the sleeves are attached. Now this is our bodice. It's ready. Now we'll attach it to the skirt. Match the zip opening on the skirt and the bodice and stitch at this waistline. So I stitched it, and you can see a very minor difference at this side, which is negligible because we'll attach lace on it and it will be covered, right? And this is the back of the skirt, and we'll simply place the zip under this opening and top stitch it. So it will be done. And now it's time to attach the lace on these joints on the both sides. So we'll stitch the lace down to the waistline here along with the lining, but for the skirt part, we'll flip the skirt like this, so the lining is not under the stitch line, and we'll attach the lace on the skirt only, right? So this is the lace we have, and we'll place it on this joint like this and stitch it down to the bottom of the skirt, and on the other side as well. So this difference will be covered. So I attached the lace in place, and as I told you, I stitched the lace down to the waist only and then flipped the skirt, and the lining is not under the stitch line, as you can see, right? So the lining is free. So it is done, and the zip is also attached. And now we'll attach this beaded lace on the neckline. So we'll attach it down to this point, and then we'll hang it free at the lower part and then stitch at the side as well. So we'll take a needle and thread, tie a knot at one end and stitch the beads in place. So we'll fix it down to this point. Tie a knot here. And this beaded lace will hang freely here. So it will be free here, and then we'll start stitching at this point again. So we'll stitch it in the same way. So we attach the beaded lace as well. It's looking like this. And at the center front you can also attach a brooch here, but I'm using this stone. I'll attach it with the glue gun and then attach the beads around it with the needle and thread. So this is the final look of the dress. It's looking awesome. I'm just loving it so much, and I hope you would also love the video. You love the dress. It's very nice. Must try it for your daughter. And this dress design can be made for any age, not only for the girls who are 5 years old. It can be made for elder girls as well. It would look very, very nice. And it's amazing. It turned out amazing. I'm just loving it. And I use a petticoat under this skirt, and I'll upload a video inshallah very soon for the making of the petticoat. And thumbs up if you like the video, and make sure to subscribe my channel for much more videos like that. And thank you so much for watching, and Allah Hafiz till the next video.